I wasn't sure if I was going to post this as a written post or a video, but I thought a video format is quickest and gets the point across a bit more. So this time last year was when I got COVID. So before I get any conspiracy theorist people telling me that COVID is a load of BS, shut up and just get off this video. You know, I've heard the amount of people say COVID is all rubbish, it's the government controlling you, blah, blah, blah. Well, let me tell you right now, COVID was goddamn real. I thought I was healthy. Well, I am healthy. I thought I was being very careful. I tried to do social distancing, didn't visit my nan, nothing like that. But obviously Bella was still going to school and they tried to do the social distancing and everything like that. But somehow we got COVID. I still remember it like it was yesterday, and it haunts me even to this day. I remember testing Bella because there was a few classmates that had gotten COVID, and I thought, right, let's just test her to be safe, because I was pregnant at the time as well, and her test was positive, but she had no symptoms, she was fine. And when I checked myself, I was a negative. David had it not so long ago, so we didn't really test him because you can carry the COVID body antibodies or whatever, I don't know, for like 6 months after or weeks, I don't know. So we didn't test him. I had to go and get the PCR test at the time to confirm, and then obviously put it in the government system, XYZ. So then the day after we did, we waited for our tests, and somehow I had caught it over the last 12 hours and my test came back positive. So obviously I informed work, they brought my computer home, and I said, look, I can still work from home. At the minute I'm feeling okay. Things then went down very quickly. And I don't know whether that's because I've never been jabbed at that point, because I was very wary of me being pregnant and this being so new, and I just wasn't sure of the side effects or if it would affect the baby. So it was my choice not to get vaccinated, but I was going to get vaccinated the minute I'd given birth. I still remember, I think it got to about lunchtime that day, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I started feeling really tired. I just had no energy for nothing. So I had to mention it to work, and I just couldn't carry on. I got into bed and literally just slept. And I thought, oh, maybe because I'm pregnant as well, it's all hitting me. Day after day, it just got worse. I was so tired, hot and cold. I started losing my sense of smell and my taste. I just had no energy for nothing. I was literally bedridden the whole time. David and Bella, they tried to stay as far away as possible, obviously only giving me food and things like that. And then I had to use one of those finger reader things for your oxygen levels and breathing, something. I had to send those results in every single day to a nurse so they could monitor my breathing. It was very up and down, to the point where the nurse was like, I'm not happy with these myself, I'm going to send them to the GP. The GP called up and said, right, we'll monitor it for another day and see how it goes. It's just up and down, and they weren't very happy with it. So they said, right, we're going to send you to the COVID ward. It was like attached to the hospital, but it wasn't A&E at the time. So I took the hospital bag with me just in case, and yeah, they checked my oxygen levels, whatever else that they checked, and they said, yeah, you're going straight to the COVID ward, A&E. And I thought, what? I wasn't mentally prepared to like leave David in bed at the time. But I had to do what I had to do. Took me straight to A&E, and they took me to the A&E ward, and that was it. I was left there, and there was no beds at the time. They just let me sit there, and it felt like ages. I was so tired. Nothing I could have done. I just had to sit and wait. And luckily, in the A&E COVID ward, they managed to get me like a bed, but in like the ward, not a ward, but as a room to myself. And so it wasn't behind a curtain. I had like door and everything, which was really lucky. And yeah, I was just so hot, feverish, cold, tired. I was on the drip, didn't want to eat, had no sense of taste, nothing like that. And yeah, there was nothing they could do. They just had to wait for an actual bed. But I do remember that I had to go for a chest scan, x-ray thing. And yes, I was pregnant, but they had to. It was critical that I had it done. Managed to get a room, but it was the most grim room. It was just grey. It was awful. No windows, nothing. Just this light. No telly. I had no energy to go to the toilet, and because I had COVID, I couldn't even leave the room to go to the toilet. So every time I needed the toilet, I had to call the buzzer, and the midwife came to check. Luckily, the baby was fine. But if I rewind back a few days before that, there was a point where I thought the baby wasn't moving. So I panicked. I called up the maternity ward. I went in and I got this weird special treatment where I came through the back. I had to go through, and obviously no one was allowed out before I got into the room because I had COVID. Check the baby, and lo and behold, obviously when I get there, baby's moving, so that was fine. But yeah, so when I did get checked when I was in A&E, it was again still fine. But she then said you're gonna have to have an emergency C-section because it's safer for the baby, and I wasn't ready for that. You know, the week before I was still talking about my natural birth plan, X, Y, Z, and all this. And then now it's like, oh, you're having an emergency C-section. But there was nothing I could do. It was what it was, and I had to get it done. I messaged David and I said, look, you're going to have to come back. Luckily, he was allowed in, so I'm grateful for that because I know that there are people who give birth without their partners there and stuff, so I'm grateful on that part. So, yeah, got me ready, epidural, all that jazz, the usual C-section, sign your life away. And yeah, given birth. Luckily, Oliver was a decent weight for being 4 weeks early, so I had to give birth at 36 weeks. He weighed 5'15", so he was a good weight. So I can only imagine he'd be so much more heavier if he was full term. But I was just happy that he was healthy. There was nothing wrong with him. No COVID, nothing. It was fine. So they stitched me up, reeled me back into a ward, and they like, look, try and breastfeed him. It wasn't happening. I was knackered, wasn't breathing properly. And to me, what felt like half an hour, I mean, it could have been 2 hours. Like I said, time frames and things like that is just all a blur. They take me away from my baby because it was critical for me to go because I had to go to intensive care, you know, because it was that or risk that I could die. I wasn't breathing very well. Oxygen levels were really low. So I was taken away from my baby. And, when you're a new mom, you just want to be there with your baby. And here's me thinking, what if I don't bond with my baby because I haven't seen him? Or, just things like that. There's so much going through my head. So then I get reeled off to ICU. I don't know what's happening. I only found out when I got home that David actually stayed in hospital for 3 days with the baby because they were just wanted to make sure that he was okay, he was coping, and he was able to look after Oliver. But then I was just taken away from my baby, and it was horrible. You know, I thought I was going to die. I didn't know if I was going to die. I didn't know if I was going to go home to see my baby. You know, am I going to make it out alive? So I was in ICU with this big mask thing on, you know, air pumping through me. Literally was in this room isolated. And the Wi-Fi was rubbish. I just couldn't FaceTime anybody. It was just for WhatsApp or voice calls. So I couldn't even FaceTime David to see the baby, nothing like that. And the worst thing was, every nurse that saw me was like, "How is your baby?" And I thought, what a question to ask a mother who's just given birth and hasn't actually seen a baby. How am I to know? And they would drag me up and say, "Come on, look, you've got to walk," and things like that. But I had COVID at the same time, so I had no energy, couldn't breathe, just being cut open. And it was awful. I honestly felt like I was treated like shit, to put it in the nicest way possible. You know, I didn't want to eat. I was getting told off for just wanting to lie in bed. But then it's like they want you to get up, to walk, because, movement, promotes healing or whatnot. I don't know. And I just wanted to die. There was times where my emergency button fallen down and I had no energy to get up and get it in the middle of the night. I'm counting down. I don't even know what time it is. Well, I do. I had my phone, but it just felt like it was going so slow. Like the universe had just been put in like slow motion or something. They went on. They were like, "Do you want to try pumping?" I tried. Nothing was happening. And then obviously I got upset over that because I really wanted to breastfeed my child, but I couldn't. Nothing was happening. So then obviously I got depressed over that. I got depressed the fact that I was not even near my kid, and the fact that they were still asking me, "How's your baby?" I don't know. You tell me. I got better. I guess that's the plus side of things. I didn't die. I'm still here. Thank God. And I got transferred to a regular ward. Again, it was still a COVID ward, but it was kind of, you're on the mend now. It was meant to be a mixed ward, but when I got there, they were all blokes. All of them. I mean, what the hell am I supposed to do with all blokes? And they were fine. I don't know how long they've been in there together, but they were all at the age where they could relate to each other. They were all chit-chatting. And then there was me. "Do you want to have a wash?" "Oh, yeah, sure, I'd have a wash in front of all these men." And then there was a man who wanted to wash me. So, no thanks, don't touch me. "Do you want to try and breastfeed?" "Yeah, okay, I'll just have my curtains wide open while I try and breast pump, while staring at the man opposite me, because that's really going to promote my milk, isn't it? I'm depressed here. I'm sad. I'm alone. I don't really think that's going to help. That wasn't working. I tried and I tried. To the point my nipples were really sore. I got told false information. One night I was told I could go home the next day. And then the next day, "Oh, no, you can't go home. Your levels of oxygen aren't great." And it was like that for 4 days or whatever it was. The amount of times I said to David, "I'm coming home." "Oh, no, I'm not. I'm not coming home." It was shit. Again, nurses asking me, "How's the baby? How's the baby?" And then, they want you to rest, but then they come and check on your obs every 4 hours. How am I supposed to rest? Just as I was about to go to sleep, someone would come in. "I'm going to check your obs." Just do it. I don't care. I'm trying to sleep here. And then there was one day, I know for a fact I ticked for food. I never got food. I had no energy. I just didn't care. I just thought, "Oh, do you know what? I don't care. Leave me here." I just got so sad. I was so depressed. I asked David to come and visit. I didn't care. I said, "Look, just come to the door." And somehow he managed to get into the ward, but not obviously in the actual ward, but up to the corridor. I went to the door. I gave him a hug. I cried. And then the nurse comes along and goes, "You can't do this. End it now. Go back in." Cried even more. I was just so sad. Honestly, I was just dead depressed. Like, it's an experience that I would never wish upon anybody, not even my worst nightmare, like the person I hate the most. I remember saying to David as well, I remember it was a Sunday and I said, look, I'm going to come home tomorrow. I don't care. And I was asking the nurses, can I discharge myself? And she goes, well, yeah, you can. But obviously, if you get really ill, you're going to have to come straight back in. I went, I don't care. That night, the man next to me died. And I know he was really old because he couldn't talk. He couldn't breathe properly. His catheter kept on falling out. They tried to put it back in. He was in pain. And he died. And I remember it so clearly because I'd just about fallen asleep. Next minute, you know, my bed swings like sideways. The big lights come on, and the nurse goes, oh, I've never experienced someone die on me before. This is my first time. Great. So now the person next to me's died. A few hours later, the lights are on because it's morning, and we're all talking about it. Well, the men are anyway. I'm just still depressed. By this point, I don't even open up my curtains anymore because I just can't face anybody. Don't want to see anybody. Again, I asked the nurse, like, am I going home today? She went, right, we're going to take your bloods. We need to go and get them tested for whatever. And then we'll have to let you know. And I said, okay, well, regardless of the results, I want to go home today. I've had enough. I can't do this anymore. At this point, yes, I was weak because I'd just been cut open, but I was not staying there another night, especially with that man dying next to me. I just wasn't doing it. I waited and I waited, and I remember it so clearly. This Asian doctor came over and she says, I believe you've been wanting to go home. And I said, yes, I do. I just want to be home with my baby. You know, I've not seen him for God knows how long. I miss him. I don't even know him. He doesn't know me. I want to go home. And she goes, well, we've had your bloods tested and it's all clear. You can go home. Honest to God, it was the best news ever. Like, I held onto her hand like a crazy person and I just held her. And I was like, thank you so, so much. You don't understand how much this means to me. Like, thank you so much. She sat down next to me and I just thanked her. I just couldn't stop thanking her. And then I cried and I cried. And she goes, okay, I'll start your paperwork out. With it being a Sunday, it'll take a bit longer, but we will get you home. So this was like morning time, about 11 or something like that. I messaged David, I said, look, I'm coming home today. And I don't know how long it's going to take. They're getting my meds ready and my discharge papers. And it just felt like such a long time. But for some reason, the lunch that I had was the best lunch I'd had. I don't know whether it was because I was going home or whatever, but it was a really nice lunch. It was like a pie and mash, but it was just so nice. I sat there and the guy opposite me was like, are you going home? And I said, yes. And he goes, yeah, you deserve to go home, see your baby. And I said, thank you. I just literally tried to get everything together as much as I could. And then just looking at the clock, and I was like, where are my meds? What's happening? Why is it taking so long? So I asked another nurse, I said, can I actually go home now? And he goes, well, you can, but your medicine's not ready. So if you go home now, someone's going to have to come back and get your medicine. I went, okay, fine. I said to David, make your way, come and get me. I'm not staying here any longer. Luckily, by the time he got here, because obviously he's with Oliver and Bella and, you know, he's having to make sure they're okay, get my mum round. He came to get me, and luckily the medicine was done at the same time. And yeah, they were just saying, you've got to jab yourself with blood thinners for the next 6 weeks. And I just thought, fucking hell, anything else you want to add to my list? But David did them for me anyway. I came home, got out of the car, and my mum just gave me the biggest hug. And I just thought, I'm home. It was just so nice to be at home, to see my mum. And then David, being cautious, of course. Please test yourself before you see the baby. Understandable, of course, you know, been through everything. Don't want to come home and give him COVID. I was negative, and I just walked up as fast as I could and I cradled my baby like I'd never cradled the baby before. It was just the best feeling ever. Ella was at home as well. Honestly, it was so nice to be at home, like in my own bed, even if I was like like no energy, nothing like that. From there, I had people call me, like nurse wise professionals, saying that you can get PTSD because of, you know, the trauma you've been through and everything else. And it's normal, but you might not. And I thought I was fine. I spoke about it, told people about it, and it obviously brought back the memories. But I was like, I'm home now. Oliver's safe. We're all, as a family, we're a unit. We're fine. I'm fine. I got over everything. We're okay. One time we drove past I was actually on my own. I drove past Chester Hospital and I just broke down in the car. And obviously, when you drove past it, it got to come back the other way. Drove past it again. And by the time I got home, I just broke. Literally, like, crumbled on the floor to David, holding me. All the memories flooded back. It was awful. So, yeah, now I have PTSD. I'm on antidepressants, and that can affect my fertility in the sense that I shouldn't really be trying if I'm on antidepressants because it doesn't really work. And then that's also my fear. What if it takes long again to conceive another one? What if Oliver was my last one and I went through all that shit? And that's the memory I'm going to have as my last child. What if it takes me another 6 years? Oh, sorry, 5 4 5 years to conceive? How can I put myself through that again? I'm not doing it. But, we're here. I've got a little boy. He's absolutely beautiful. He's gorgeous. He's everything. Got a beautiful daughter. Sassy little madam, but she is also my everything. And yeah, starting counselling soon to hopefully help me. I don't know. I don't know if they can help me. They can't help me. So yeah, for the people who always said COVID was shit, go fuck yourself. Because I nearly died from it. And it was real as fuck. I can tell you that right now. So yeah, sympathy is not what I'm looking for. It's more of an awareness that yes, COVID was fucking real, and that there's a stigma around like the Oriental community. I say more because you're not supposed to talk about your feelings. Stuff like this is private, which it is and it isn't. But things like PTSD and mental health isn't a thing. That you should let go of all these bad memories and live the happy thoughts and the life that you have now, which is, why am I not happy? I've got a house, a husband, a car, 2 children, I'm married, I'm not struggling, I've got a roof over my head. Why should I not be happy? You know, what I experienced shouldn't be kept in my brain. You should just forget about it. But no, that's not the case at all. You should be able to speak freely about your feelings. You should be able to tell people about your experience and open up about how you are feeling, not have to hide it and let it build up to the point you then break down and go crazy or even think, well, if I can't talk about it, what's the point of me being here, or having to hide away and things like that. No, that's not the case. There's a lot of things about mental health these days where you should speak out, even if it's just to a friend or to your partner, or just be able to talk about it. You should never hide behind this face, a strong face, and be like, I'm happy as Larry, whatever. No, if you're not, you speak up about it, because the more you let it build inside, it could just get worse. And I mean, it's not been that long. Like, I think my PTSD actually came out around about 9, 10 months, when Oliver was 9, 10 months old. That's when I first really drove past Chester. Maybe a little bit earlier, but that's when it hit me. And it took me a while to actually feel like what I went through was very traumatic. Nothing that I can just simply put aside and pretend that it was fine and that I'm going to be able to forget about it. Because let's say if I get pregnant again, I'm not going to want to go back to Chester Hospital. I'm going to want to avoid it at all costs. And that wasn't even the original hospital I was going to give birth at anyway. You know, but I don't want to feel like that. I don't want to have to avoid that road. You know, every time I do drive past it, I don't look at it. I have my head down. I pray that we drive past it as fast as we can, you know? So it's just more of an awareness, and that September is a shit month in the sense that everything that did happen with me happened. Also, at the end of the day, you know, I gave birth to a beautiful boy. I am here, I'm healthy, you know, I might have mental health issues, but I'm here. You know, I've got a beautiful boy, beautiful girl, a loving husband who is an absolute rock, and that's all I need, you know? And I'm hoping that the therapy is going to help me. And I hope that one day that I'll be able to talk about my experience as a stronger person. And I need to get over, you know, wanting a child so much that I get upset every month if a period turns up. You know, that's a stigma I need to get out of my head. I need to just be happy with what I have right now. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know, I've got 2 beautiful children. Hopefully therapy will help me through that. This time last year was not a good year for me, but we move on. A year on, my son's going to be 1 year old, and I can't bloody believe how quick it's gone. So I thank everyone who has been there for me, who I've been able to talk to and open up, because it has helped. If you feel like you need professional help, just go and get it. There's no harm in asking, you know, and push for it if you really feel the need for it. So yes, thanks for listening to me ramble on. I'll see you soon. Bye.